It is Sunday, April 7th, and I announced this incorrectly. I said this would happen on Sunday, April the 6th, which is not a date, not this year anyway. So I'm sorry if that was confusing to anybody and you thought that maybe it was supposed to happen yesterday and I wasted your time. I did mean today, Sunday, but it's the 7th. I am off on my dates. Thank you for joining. It is Sunday afternoon, 2:30 p.m. where we live here. Only started 2 minutes late today, so I'm really proud of myself. So if you joined, thank you. If you're a member of this channel, thank you. The first What's New weekly episode every month is open to anybody in the whole wide world that wants to be on YouTube. And every other episode each week is only for channel members at the sponsor level. So if you are a sponsor level member, thank you so much for your support. I really, really appreciate that. And if not, the first one of the month is always open to anybody. And it used to be a Wednesday thing, What's New Wednesday, but Wednesdays are kind of my busiest days. So I changed the name to What's New Weekly. And now it can be on any day, Wednesday through Saturday. Today is Sunday because I'm kind of behind. Hi SJ, thanks for joining. Thank you for the birthday card. I got that this week. Thank you so much. That was very kind of you. Thank you for your kind words. So because this is April the 7th, the first episode in April, this is open to everybody. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I talked about recent finds of things I really liked, and that was a really popular topic that resonated with a lot of people. So something that I want to incorporate on a weekly basis, excuse me, I'm still getting over this cold, is that instead of making one every few weeks like that, like for instance, there's going to be one I'm thinking next week. Hi, Annabelle. Hi, Annabelle. Good, thanks for joining. I hope you get to stay around for a little bit. It is 11:30 or 10:30 right now. I know it's 8 hours difference sometimes and 9 other times. So in a couple of weeks, I'm going to do an episode on products I really like that have to do like with natural medicine, like, you know, devices you want to keep in the house beyond just the standard thermometer or whatever that is. That maybe this coming week, maybe in a couple of weeks. But aside from that, I thought that every week I would like to incorporate into my weekly episode just one good find from that week. And I'm going to talk about that. And then I'm going to have a little thing of looking back over the past week of things that happened, looking forward to what's coming up this coming week, then talking about the actual topic at hand. Today's topic is going to be teaching teens to drive. But before we get into that, and Annabelle 11:30, yes, this is when we come alive as moms, right, late at night. So kicking off the one good find for this week, it has to do with something I did this week, and it reminded me, and then I ordered another one. So this might seem silly, you might think it's childish, and it probably is, but I think this is really fun and relaxing. And I don't know if you've discovered these, but it's something called sticker by number. Chloe, would you do me a favor? I left my water jar on the counter right there before I keep coughing. Sticker by number, and it I love this particular one because it's Psalms, and it has 28 designs in it, and it's just as the name implies. Here's a completed one. On that counter, honey. Behind you. Yep, that's the one. Nope. In front of you, the little short jar. Nope. That's the one. So, all the Psalms are from the KJV, so I like that. And the stickers in the back, so some have been completed and some I have not done. There's altogether 28 designs in here. I'll just show you some of the ones, what they look like when they're completed. Not right now, sweetheart. And this book I bought, I want to say at least a year and a half, 2 years ago at Sam's Club. Sam's Club has good books. I like to get books there. And I have taken this on so many trips with me because the only time I have time for this book is when I fly on an airplane. So it has been to Germany with me. It has been to New York City with me. It traveled to Germany with me a second time. It has gone on all my trips because I do this on the airplane. I don't know if people think I'm like scared of the plane crashing. I just find it super relaxing. So the way it works is that in the back it has these sticker sheets and it tells you which design it's for. And then each sticker is numbered. And you basically, when you find one, let's find one that hasn't been done yet. Most of these have been done. So like this one, you then put the correct stickers onto those fields. Excuse my dirty fingernails. I was gardening yesterday and I cannot get the dirt out from under my nails. Now this one is kind of easy because none of the stickers touch. This one, the stickers are touching. So this one's a little bit more complicated. You want to be really accurate with this. So instead of paint by number, it's sticker by number. I find it super, super relaxing because there's a certain joy and satisfaction in peeling a sticker and putting it on. So I like that. And it makes a pretty thing. I love all the verses they picked. So like I said, this one I've mostly done because I've had this one for almost 2 years now, I'm guessing. 1.5 to 2 years. But there's a companion book that I just bought this week. And Annabelle, exactly right. It's simple, it's easy, it's pretty, but it's so relaxing. They have a companion book. It's called Words of Jesus. So this is basically Bible quotes from the New Testament. And again, I'll show you. There's 28 designs in it, and all of them are shown in the back completed. I'll just show you some of these. There's all different designs. And basically these are what you would find in your Bible, Words of Christ in red. It's taken from those, basically, again, KJV. Isn't this so cute? I think this one's adorable. I mean, they all are. And it's so satisfying. Now, I put the links for these. Hi, Celine. Thanks for joining. I put the links for these. There's affiliate links for Amazon in the description of this video. So if you're like, wow, I like that, I put the links for them in the description of this video. Now, they have a lot of other books also by the same brand, which is Brain Games. And the other ones in the series that I like are the vintage ones. So there's vintage flowers, vintage birds, vintage butterflies. So those are all super cute. But I really like these two, and I just bought this one this week because my other one is almost out. So if you enjoy that, super fun for kids too. We bought this Christmas one around Christmas time, and this one's another super fun one, just because of all the cute designs. This is just some of the ones that are in here. So if you enjoy this kind of stuff, this is my good find for the week. I really enjoy these. Super fun. I used these this past week. Actually, week and a half. Pardon me. I'm still getting over this cold. Or rather, not getting over it. But on the 27th, myself and several of our children and in-laws, altogether there were 8 in our group. Not my husband, not most of our kids. He stayed home with the kids that didn't go. Went on a birthday trip to Maui. And it sounds incredibly spoiled, and it is. But what happened is that for flights that we had taken in April last year, it was such a bad experience that Southwest ended up giving us flight credit for all of those flights, which ended up being like $1,400. And I wasn't sure where to go. And on a whim, I was like, I wonder how much flights to Hawaii are. And they were only $400 round trip direct from Phoenix to Maui. So I was like, why fly to Oklahoma or Washington, D.C.? Those were the other places we were thinking about going, if we can go to Maui. So we did go to Maui, and we were there from the 27th through the 2nd. So just a week. It was really, really great. We had a wonderful time. And I did injure myself, thankfully, on the last day and not any sooner. I went to pick up Chloe. She had cut her foot open on something on the beach, and I kind of bent down and I twisted as I did, and I lifted her up as I twisted. I did it with my back and not my legs. And right when I picked her up, because she's almost 8, she's not like a toddler, I felt it immediately. But I had to keep carrying her to the van, and after I set her down, I was like, oof, that wasn't good. And I made it home on the flight that next morning. But ever since then, it's been hit and miss. Some nights I can't sleep, it's so painful. And then other days it hardly hurts at all. So if you see me kind of fidgeting and wiggling, that's why. Now, also looking back, speaking of van, for those of you who have been aware of my van troubles, I mentioned this last week, but I finally got my van back a couple of weeks ago, and it has never acted up again. So for the first time since May 2022, My van is working and the issue is actually fixed. Like they actually got to the bottom of it and they fixed it. As opposed to the 12 other times that they said they fixed it, but it continued. So my van, praise God, works, and I'm so happy. And some of my kids were having issues with their cars, which of course was weighing on me. Every vehicle issue has been resolved as of right now. Now I'm just gonna pray it stays that way and that I didn't just like, you know, say the wrong thing and bring all these issues back on. But everybody's vehicle, they're all working. And there was a time when all 4 of the vehicles of my 3-year-old kids and our van were all having issues at the same time. And I'm just so thankful that one by one they all resolved. And then also this last week we tried something, I don't want to say new, because we've tried this in the past, but we haven't tried it in about 10 or 12 years. But we went to Costco. Hi Sons of Thunder, thanks for joining. We went to Costco just because I needed a lot. I usually do Instacart, but Instacart for Costco adds about 20%. And I needed a lot because I'd been gone for a week and we needed everything. So I was like, I'll just go in person. Which is always a danger because even though Instacart adds 20%, it usually still ends up being cheaper because there's no impulse shopping. As opposed to you go in the store and you see all these things that you didn't know were there. That's very cool, Stephen. And you impulse shop all these things that you weren't planning on doing. So, Stephen, you can't disrupt nap time right now. That's a very pretty flower. In fact, if you give me that box, I'll show that as a cool find this week. Give me the box, honey. So, we did go in the store and we did impulse shop because I found these really nice self-watering planters that even I can handle. And after we bought one and the dirt for it and the plants, then we went back 2 more times and I have a total of 4 planters and 2 pots set up because we also brought back pineapple from Maui Gold. In fact, I'm going to add that to another good find this week is Maui Gold pineapples. Now, years ago, I used to run a produce co-op where I would basically, one second. Okay, you guys all leave the floor or you're all going to get chores. What? Not right now. Okay, I will. Give me that. Now you scoot. You need to stop walking around here. You're interrupting. Scoot. And in that produce co-op, I would buy cases of produce. And I would then, you know, mark them up and sell them at a markup. Not much, but, you know, where people were still getting a great deal. But it was also like basically covering my produce. And back when I started that like 15 years ago or so, I'm doing a live right now and you need to leave or you're going to get a nap. No. Go. There was a brand that would sell their pineapples here called Maui Gold, and they were grown on Maui. And in fact, most of the pineapple sold in the entire world used to be grown in the Hawaiian Islands. Not anymore. Unfortunately, they have been price-wise, it's cheaper to get them from other parts of the Caribbean and South America. So Maui Gold is no longer available here on the mainland. They used to be, and they have really good pineapples because they are grown on the side of a volcano, and it's like a particular type of pineapple that is really flavorful. But I just found out when we went to Maui and we did the pineapple tour, they sent us home with a pineapple. All right, pardon me. I'm gonna have to like sit down. Stop saying that. Oops, sorry about that. I don't think I can silence it on this end. Hi, Hope. Anyway, they are not sold on the mainland anymore, but we got these pineapples. They explained to us how to twist off the top and grow them. That's kind of what started the gardening thing. But they can also, you can buy them directly from their website, and you can buy a case of 8 shipped to the US mainland for $100, which is expensive for 8 pineapples. But I think it's like great for like a special, like a birthday gift or maybe like a Mother's Day gift or something like that. And they pick it basically the day that you place the order. they pick it the day they ship it. So if you order on Monday, they pick it Monday afternoon, they ship it, and you will have it by Wednesday. So you will get really ripe, really fresh pineapple. And yeah, $100 is kind of steep for that, for 8 pineapples, but these are really good pineapples, and I think it's just a nice special gift. So that's what started the gardening trend, and we kind of went a little off on that, so we'll see if it works out. Now, the issue with Phoenix is that we get too much sun. So I'm trying some new spots here in the new house that have different exposure, and hopefully it'll work out. So we planted a bunch of stuff yesterday. Steven is helping me, the other kids are helping me. So we'll see how it works out. I'll keep you updated on it in the future. Now, looking forward to what's coming up this week. We're gonna finish putting in the garden. We still need some trellises and tomato cages. And I also want to put in some flowers. And the reason why I want to put in some flowers is because I'm actually hosting a party in my backyard this Saturday in 6 days. And the theme of the party is Mama in Bloom, because it is a maternity shower for my daughter-in-law, who is expecting a baby this fall. And a maternity shower is not a baby shower. And I've only ever known one church to do maternity showers, and that was the first church we went to as newlyweds. And when I became pregnant with our oldest son Solomon, they threw me 2 showers. They threw me a maternity shower around, 5 months into my pregnancy, and that's focused on the mom. So you get gifts for the mom, and I got like an entire maternity wardrobe, which was wonderful because we were pretty poor. We were still newlyweds. We'd only been married about 6 or 7 months at this point. Maybe closer to 9 months, but we had very limited money. I definitely didn't have any maternity clothes, hardly at all. And I got like 22 or 24 maternity outfits. And I also got like some body care products, like other things that I've seen people give as like a maternity pillow, stuff like that. Just stuff that's like for the pregnancy to make life for the new first-time mom better. So at our church, we've always done maternity showers for first-time moms. I'm glad that I get to host one for my daughter-in-law next Saturday, or I guess it's called this Saturday. And the theme is Mama in Bloom. And then the baby shower will be later, when the baby's almost due. So that will be my main focus this week, pulling that off. Because the way I work is I can only have a focus on one event at a time. So it's now only 6 days and I need to get this figured out. My husband and some of the kids will be traveling this week. They're going to a youth conference in Sacramento at a church that shall not be named, just because I don't want to get YouTube all up in my business. So they're going to be gone at that youth conference. My husband is going with 4 of the teenagers. We have 4 teenagers. And I also wanted to give an update on Cute and Covered, my swimwear, my modest swimwear. Yes, the website is working. Yes, you can order. If you ever have an issue with ordering, sometimes certain browsers don't work with my online shop, just send me an email and I can send you an invoice through PayPal. The issue is that I don't have a whole lot of inventory right now. Now, I should have gone back in March and purchased the fabric and taken it to my seamstress, and I would be able to add all the inventory right now. However, I didn't do that because I was busy, and it is now April and I have very little inventory. So if you've been waiting for a swimsuit, hang in there. I'm hoping to go this week. This injury has kind of thrown me for a loop because where I buy the fabric is like a 30-40 minute drive, and I can't sit in the car that long right now. So there will be more inventory. If you're looking for a swimsuit, it might be a while yet. So cuteandcovered.com. I do still have a lot in the adult sizes. The sizes I'm really missing is like the size 6 through 14 in the youth sizes. That's what's really, really thin. I do have a lot of lady sizes, and I do have quite a bit of toddler sizes. It's just that youth girls size 6 through 14 that's really missing. But it will be there soon. All right. Let's talk about the topic. Teaching teenagers to drive. So when you're a parent, you're signing on for teaching your kid for at least 18 years. And I'm not just talking about homeschooling, just teaching them about everything in life. And for me, the three things that stand out as kind of the cornerstones of what's the hardest is potty training, teaching them to read, and teaching them to drive. Now, virtually all parents agree that, you know, you're going to be the one teaching, potty training them, but teaching them to read, a lot of people think, well, the school will do that, and teaching them to drive, well, the driving school will do that. But I want to encourage you, bye, Sons of Thunder, have a good night if it's nighttime where you are, but teaching them to read and teaching them to drive, it's really important, or beneficial rather, if you as a parent do that. Because many times if you want the job to be done right, you will have to do it yourself. And it's one of those things that if your child is a good reader, they will succeed in all of the subjects if they're a confident reader. So you want to make sure of that. You don't want them slipping through the cracks. And it's very much the same with driving. So while you could send your child to a driving school, if you teach them yourself, they will probably get a lot more practice and they will learn things that they would not otherwise have learned. Now, this only applies in the US. I don't know about other countries if they allow parents to teach their kids. In Germany, parents are not allowed to teach their kids to drive. They have to go to an official driving instructor at an official driving school. And they also can't start as early as they can start here. Here in my state of Arizona, you can start at 15 and a half. Bye, Annabelle. Gute Nacht. In Germany, you can start at I think 3 months before you turn 18 because you can't start driving until you're 18. Here, you can start driving on your own if you're licensed by 16. So, one of the reasons why you should teach them yourself is so you can make sure that they're being taught correctly, also so that they can get more practice. Because using an actual driving instructor is, of course, far more expensive. My kids don't have to pay me anything for me to take them driving, but typically if you go with somebody else, you're looking at paying about $60 per hour of instruction, $60, $70 per hour of driving. And that adds up really fast because hopefully, ideally, by the time your kids go out driving on their own, forget what the law says, the law varies in every state, but just statistically what you want to aim for is that they've had 100 hours of instruction. Now, 100 hours of instruction, that's like $6,000. And even if you only do the minimum, in the state of Arizona, the minimum is 10 hours, which I think is ludicrous. It's 20 in a lot of other states. That still adds up. And if you think, okay, well, I'm just going to do the minimum, $600-$700 for 10 hours, and then they can just drive on their own, just take it to the bank. They're going to wreck that car. And hopefully they won't get hurt too badly because, thankfully traffic accidents, most of the time the vehicle's totaled, but the people are fine. But you don't want that. You don't want that headache. You don't want the hassle of that. Of course, you don't want to take the risk of them actually getting hurt. You don't want to destroy the vehicle, the financial loss. There's many reasons why you don't want your kids having an accident. And one of the best ways to prevent that is to just drive and practice with them all the time. So if you have a new driver or a driver who only has the permit but not yet the license, anytime you are in the vehicle with them, they should be the ones driving. So you want to leave early and make time for that so they can get that practice. I'm not saying if it's rush hour and you're in a hurry, you should let them drive because they're not going to be able to do that. But just the why you should teach them, because it's cheaper, they can get a lot more practice, and you can actually make sure that the job is done correctly. Now, personally, what we have done with all of our kids so far that are licensed, which is 4, is that we teach them ourselves. We get their permit at 15 and a half, and for 6 months, we teach them. We drive with them. We go through the steps, and that's what this video is talking about, the steps that we actually take to teach them. So we do that for 6 months, and when we're confident that they are now ready to go on the road, and this is just unique to Arizona, so I don't know if other states have the same, but then after we're done with them, we get them a professional driving lessons with a professional instructor. We've used the same driving school for all 4 of our kids. If you're local to Arizona, I recommend them highly. It's called Steer Right, STEER-RIGHT, Steer Right Driving School. A great family-owned business. They homeschool their own children. Really good record. They've taught all 4 of our licensed children And basically, they do 10 hours with them. And at the end of the 10 hours, they administer the road test. And if the kids pass, then they get their driver's license. They get a letter that they can take down to the DMV and present that letter, and then they get their license. They don't have to do the road test with the DMV. So just for that alone, to me, that's worth it, because of course the stress is going to be a lot lower going with your driving instructor to do the road test rather than some stranger from the DMV that you might be nervous about or whatever. And I think that that's worked out really well. So that's not necessary by law. We could just teach them exclusively, and they just go down and take their, I think it's like a $14 road test. So you could get your license for as little as, I don't know if maybe it's more now, maybe it's $20 or $21. But anyway, you could do it for that cheap, as opposed to in other countries, it's literally like $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 to get your driver's license in Germany, for instance. So while many kids could get their license when they turn 18, they don't get their license when they turn 18. They have to wait till they're 19, 20, 21, 22, because it costs just an unholy amount of money, like $4,000 or $5,000, and they have to save up for that. But the reason why we still, even though we don't have to, do the professional driving school, and why I recommend you do that, is because that way they get instruction from somebody else. So while I teach them primarily, my husband also drives with them, so they can maybe pick up stuff from him. But most importantly, the professional, in case we have blind spots or there's something we missed or they have something bad that the teacher needs to correct. So we always do that. And if you are an ESA student in the state of Arizona, that is actually something that is covered by ESA. So if you live in Arizona, that's also available. Now, let's get down to the nitty-gritty of the actual steps of teaching a child to drive, a teenager to drive. And this is maybe a topic that only applies to a few people, but if you have kids, it will be here before you know it. And it is one of those 3 pillars, you know, once you start, like when I first started teaching my first one to drive, I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to be doing this for the next 22 years, because it takes about 1.5 years, 2 years to teach them to drive. I mean, 6 months intensively, but then I have them keep driving with me for a long time. And right when I'm ready to cut one loose, the next one is ready to start. So this has become, you know, I have been potty training someone and teaching, or a couple of someone's, teaching 1 or 2 someone's how to read, and now teaching someone to drive for the last 6 years. So these are what I think the cornerstones that are real important and kind of challenging. Now, steps. The first step is that you want them to become familiar with the vehicle. You want them to know to hit the brake, not the gas pedal. You want them to know where the turn signals are, and we're not even talking a clutch. Like, nobody here has a 5-speed. They only have to keep the brake and the gas pedal apart, but even so, you know, they need practice. They need to get a feel for the vehicle. And that is best done in a very large, empty parking lot. Now, I'm going to mention in this video where we do that. So if you're listening to this and you live in the Phoenix Valley, these ideas might work for you. But otherwise, you can just take the principle and apply it where you live. So the best time to teach your child to drive is when nobody else is on the road, even if it's just in a parking lot. So this will typically be on a weekend. Now, if you want an empty parking lot, Sundays are, of course, your best time, because there's businesses that are closed on Sundays. Otherwise, very early on Saturday mornings also works, or on Saturday afternoons if the business is closed, like midday Saturday. But you basically want to find a parking lot that is empty on Saturday or Sunday. So Saturdays, parking lots that are frequently empty are church parking lots. If there's a large church, and it's private property, so they might not want you to do that, but there are many churches with massive campuses and they have huge parking lots. Their school is closed on Saturday, but church isn't happening until Sunday, and Saturday would be a good time to go there in a parking lot, or businesses on a Sunday afternoon. Now, here in Phoenix, my favorite place to practice driving in the parking lot, which means I get in the driver's seat, the student sits next to me, and we drive there. I drive there. And when we get there, we trade off and we just drive through the parking lot for like 30, 40, 60 minutes at a time. And my favorite place to do that is restaurant supply stores, because they're closed on Sundays and they have massive parking lots. And there's a particular one that I have saved on my phone, but I can't look it up right now because I'm using my phone, that's out, you know, in the East Valley. But really any restaurant supply store, you will find they have massive parking lots, or really any business will do that's closed on a Sunday. And you just want them practicing in the parking lot just to get a feel, have them pull into spots, pull through spots, just to get a feel for that. And we do that probably about 4 times, because I do it once a week on Sundays. So we'll do that for a month of driving to a parking lot, they cruise around, and by the time they're real comfortable with the vehicle, probably 3-4 times will have passed. So that's only a small part of the training. After getting a feel for the vehicle in the parking lot, the next step is to move on to actual public roadways. But you want to start with roadways that are very empty. So you could pick a neighborhood on a Saturday morning. You get the kid out of bed at like 6, and by 7 you're out in a neighborhood. Saturday morning at 7, there's going to be very little traffic if you're in a neighborhood. And you want a neighborhood because traffic is slow. You have a lot of stop signs where they can practice, not a whole lot of stop lights, which you don't want yet, and they can just drive around and be on actual public roads, but with minimal other traffic. Now, I'm not one to want to get up early on a Saturday morning because I have little kids and yada yada, but what we have here in Phoenix, and I'm so thankful for this, and this is where all my kids have learned to drive, and I'm just going to tell you my secret. Just don't ruin it by going there and, you know, doing donuts in the parking lot or something and getting us all thrown out. But we have here in the Phoenix metro area a place called the ASU Research Park. And it is off the 101 between Elliott and Warner. And in fact, you can even, like a little bit north of there and even a little bit south of there is like big box businesses like Shutterfly and stuff that are closed on the weekends. So there's lots of public roadways, but very little traffic. So if you go to the ASU Research Park, it is just so great because they have roundabouts, they have stop signs, they have they even have a couple of stoplights. They have left turn lanes that are dedicated left turn lanes. There's lots of ways to turn around and make a U-turn. And on that 1 mile stretch between Elliott and Warner, so it's a mile long and a mile wide, this research park, it's like a small town unto itself. You can drive there for 20 minutes and never go back on the same road that you have driven before. So in an hour's time there, you can really get a lot of good driving practice. And again, they're closed on Saturdays, they're closed on Sundays, so it's perfect for weekend practice driving. And you have even some stoplights where both on the northern end at Elliott and the southern end at Warner, where if you pull up to the stoplight and you cross it, so now you're crossing a very busy street, either Elliott or Warner, they're very busy, but you're just crossing it, and then north of there you'd be pulling into the Shutterfly parking lot. And again, it's like a small town unto itself. So they get a little bit of practice on that light, but then they're back in yet another area that they can explore and practice in. So for us here in Phoenix, that has been an integral part of teaching the kids to drive the ASU Research Park off the 101. And that's for the step 2, empty roadways, you know, where you just start practicing, how do I perform on a stop sign? How do I go on a roundabout? How do I make a right turn? How do I make a left turn? Things like that. Now, step number 3 after that is that you want to go on freeways and back roads. And ironically, it might be counterintuitive, but freeways are actually pretty safe roads for teenagers to drive on because there's no stoplights. There's, you know, you just get on, you keep driving. And yes, there's people getting on and people getting off, but it's usually pretty predictable, and the freeways work well. And the reason why I grouped it together with freeways and back roads is because I usually combine the two. We usually, what we do is we drive out on back roads until like somewhere really far away in a different part of our metropolitan area that we live in, and then we take the freeway back home. So for back roads, and you're not supposed to be doing this, but it's not illegal, for back roads, nothing beats the Indian reservations. So we have Indian reservations throughout the whole state, but we have some here in the greater Phoenix metro area. And down here in the southwest part of the city where we live, we have the Gila River Indians, and literally like a mile south of my house, the reservation starts. And it goes way out there. I mean, it borders on Pinal County. It goes really far. So you can drive like 30 miles west of here and you're still in the Gila River Indian community. And then we also have the Pima Indians on the northeast side. So depending on where you live in the Phoenix area, for local driving ones, we like to go driving on one of those two reservations. Those are the two main ones where it's a lot of backcountry roads. So the Pima Indians is basically Scottsdale, everything east of the 101, and it just goes on and on. It goes all the way from Tempe to like Fountain Hills. So it's like 20 miles at least from north to south or south to north. And then from east to west, it's like another 30 or 40 miles. I don't even know. It's a massive area, and it's predominantly farmland. So the roads are very quiet. It's just back roads, and these are great for getting out on an actual roadway where your child, your student, will run into other traffic. I mean, figuratively, not literally. Encounter other traffic, and you just drive way out there, and then you loop around and you just take the freeway back home to get home faster. So that is the next step, the freeways on the back roads, and I combine those two. And if you're living anywhere in the East Valley, you know, you can either go to the Pima north of you, or you can go to the Gila River west of you, and that's what I've taught all my kids to drive on those reservations. And then you can take the 101 back, you can take the 202 back, and it actually makes a really good way to teach them. And from there, you basically just work up to more and more busy roads. So from the back roads, you might now go to actual main arteries, whatever that is in your city. For us, that would be Chandler Boulevard, Ray Road, Warner, Elliott, Guadalupe, Baseline, Southern, all those roads, you just travel down them. And to make it harder, you know, you start out when the roads are really, really empty, like on a Saturday morning, and you work your way up, and you keep doing it when it's progressively busier and busier. And at this point, your kids are probably also working. So what you can incorporate once they're pretty confident that, you know, they can stop if you tell them to stop, and they know how to navigate the vehicle, you know, driving them to work. They drive themselves, or when you drop them off, they drive, you're in the passenger seat, and when you pick them up, you have them drive. So that's a great way for them to get some practice. And you basically just keep adding more and more complicated things. You would then add driving during more busy hours, more and more busy hours until they drive in rush hour. You would add driving at night. Maybe then you want to add driving in the rain. Maybe you want to leave, if you live in a big city like we do, maybe you want to leave and go to Flagstaff or Prescott or Payson, so they can learn how to drive, driving on steep, curvy mountain roads into a canyon. More importantly, coming home on them when it's downhill, and they might have to downshift to not burn out their brakes. So you just gradually build up and go through that. Yes, so we have a learner's permit that's, you can get at 15.5, and then you get your driver's license, and it's a graduated driver's license. I'm going to talk about that in a minute, and that's all there is. But I'm going to talk about the graduated driver's license. So basically, again, step one is to just get them comfortable with the vehicle. That can be a large private property, it can be an empty parking lot, something like that. Then you want to find somewhere where there's practically no traffic, even though you're on public roadways. For us, that's the ASU Research Center. And then you want to start on quiet back roads, gradually build up your way until they can pretty much traverse all terrains. Now, I already mentioned that whenever you're in the car together, you should be in the car in the passenger seat, and they should be driving. There are also programs that you can sign your kids up for that are like accident prevention programs. And one that we really liked And I'm going to put the link for that in the description of this video. It was started by a dad who lost his two sons were driving together, the older teenager and the younger teenager, and the older teenager ended up being involved in a motor vehicle accident, and they both died. And it was a very preventable accident, and the dad kind of used that as a springboard to make something good out of something bad, and he started this program that you can sign your kids up for, and I've done it with all of my kids so far, that will basically teach them how to like brake and maneuver and not have the vehicle act out and make an accident worse. And it is called, I forget, but I'm going to put it in the link. I'm going to look it up. I'm confusing it with the name of the traffic school right now. And it's a really, really great program. I met the man who started it, the father of the two teenage boys that perished. I met him. He's just the nicest, most humble man, and he's really just taken this tragedy to make something good out of it. And they go all over the country. Steer Right is the name of the traffic school that we use here locally. But that other one, I forget what it's called. I could probably look it up on my laptop right here. 1 second. Let's see here. I can't find it now. I don't know what to search for. I can't find it now. Why do I not find it? I can't find it. Anyway, well, when I find it, I'm going to put it in the link below. So that's the why and the how we teach. Now, when you have a new driver, there's some things we don't allow. And one of the biggest things that you want to keep close tabs on and really discourage or even disallow are any extra passengers. And by extra, I mean unnecessary. So if you have your child, say, drive their, this is once they're fully licensed, of course, not when they're on a permit. On a permit, you just want the student and yourself on the vehicle. But once they're licensed and they're technically allowed to be out driving on their own, and they are out driving on their own, you don't want to send along extra passengers. Just think of it this way. Every additional passenger in the vehicle doubles the risk of an accident. So if you have your child driving themselves and you add one, that will about double the risk that there'll be an accident. Add a second passenger, a third person in the vehicle, you have now doubled that, so it's now 4 times the risk, and it's exponential like that. Why is that? It's because people are talking, even if they're not talking to the driver, they're very distracting. So the driver makes a mistake and gets in an accident. But the other thing is that frequently the driver will become involved, and that the more kids there are in the vehicle, the more teenagers, the more they interact, and they go nuts and they go wild and they act up and they ham it up and they turn on their music. And all these factors greatly increase the risk of something bad happening. Pardon me. Boaz, you're being disruptive. Can you settle down? So one thing that we keep a really close eye on is any brakes. Yes, thank you, Karen. Yes, thank you. Is it called? Yeah, I think it's called brakes. Yep, Brakes Teen Driving School. That is it. Thank you. So what you want to do, you want to go on their website. And on their website, you can be notified when they come to your area because they travel over different parts of the country. And here, can I have that, please? I'm going to show that in a minute. Thank you. Yeah, I'm going to give it right back. And you can sign up and then you get notified, and they do it on a weekend. So they do it Saturday, Sunday, and you sign up your kids. It's free. They ask for like $100 donation. which you don't have to pay if you can't. But it's a really, really great program, and I really recommend it. Thank you for that, Karen. Thank you. So the one thing that I've really discouraged, don't allow, is extra passengers, people, meaning that they don't have to be there. They're just coming along for the heck of it, and there's no reason for them to be there. And then the other huge thing is phone usage. Of course, we all know this. And kids are on their phones even more than we are, because back when we were little and learning to drive, there weren't even any cell phones out yet, hardly at all. Definitely no internet on your phone, definitely not smartphones. So this newer generation has grown up with and around screens far more than we have. So phone use is also anything that's distracting. Because that, you know, anything that distracts the extra passengers, the noise, the phone, looking down, that's going to greatly increase their chances of an accident. Anyway, that's how we have taught all of them to drive. So we've got 4. We're done with bag phones. Yeah, like the huge brick phone. And still have 8 ahead of me. Not sure how I'm going to make it through that, but by the grace of God. I wanted to show one other find the kids wanted to share. Actually, we bought this at Sam's Club this week. And this is our Lego flower set. Now, everything in this series, which is the Icon series, these were designed by just not the professional Lego designers, but by private people. And these are always really cute. They have a lot of cool things in this, but these are basically 9 different cacti. And we got that at Sam's Club. That set was $40. So they built already all these flowers and cacti on a Sunday afternoon. And this one. So there's 9 in there altogether. We're gonna have a little something. Some garden is going to succeed. It might be only the Lego garden, but something will succeed. All right, anyway, that's it for today's episode. Thank you so much for joining. Those of you that are sponsor members, I will see you back later this week, hopefully, if you're able to join. Those that are not, you may want to consider becoming one. When you do join as a member, it gives you access to all the previous videos that have been for sponsors only. So you get to go back and see them. If not, I will see you back here on the first weekly of the month of May. We have, thank you, Karen. Karen, are you still teaching? You're into the teaching the drive now, right? It's a whole new level of parenting craziness. So we have no birthdays in April. April is one of the very, very few months where we don't have a birthday, but we will make up for that because in May there are 3 birthdays. So we're getting ready for that. And yes, you are. Anyway, thank you so much for joining. Have a wonderful, lovely rest of your Sunday afternoon. Have a very blessed week ahead, and I hope to see you back here next time. Bye.